In the heart of the urban jungle, a unique species of Homo sapiens thrives. Identified by their common adornments, the humble hoodie, their peculiar yet endearing rituals involving ping-pong tables, and an astonishing amount of free coffee. The startup Homo sapiens.
I'm no David Attenborough, but I know a thing or two about startups. For example, did you know they don't run on coffee alone?
I'm here to guide you on an extraordinary journey. Our new Twitch series, AWS Let's Build a Startup. Together we shall observe how an idea evolves, grows and matures into a real minimum viable product. All of this within the AWS ecosystem. Whether it's the thirst of knowledge guiding you or simply your passion for free caffeine. Join me on this fascinating journey.
Hey, hello founders, welcome back to another episode of AWS Let's Build a Startup. This is your weekly fix of everything startups on AWS. I'm here with Chris. Chris is another solutions architect working with startups here at AWS. Hey Chris, how's it going?
I'm well, thanks Giuseppe. Hi everybody. Hope you're getting used to all of the new relaunches and releases from reInvent and you're getting your heads around those. And hopefully we can dive into those a bit later. Good to do this in the lead up to Christmas.
Oh, absolutely. And, if you didn't see us streaming last week, that was, reInvent was the reason. And we've been, I think, floated with so many fantastic launches. And actually, Chris, I wanted to ask you, what was your favorite launch from reInvent this year?
I'm going to mention two, actually. I think just because I've had a lot of questions from customers about when are we going to launch new model architectures on Bedrock. So the Bedrock new inference engine, Mantle, and the speed at which we're able to take things like open weight models and launch those out to customers is going to be transformational this year, I think. The other really interesting one is the Lambda durable functions. I think I was like, well, what about step functions? But actually now Lambda, you can program in steps and weights just within your Lambda code and do that with local Lambda testing and everything. So I think that's going to be just going to really speed up the serverless development cycle as well.
Oh yeah, and talking about serverless, but not so serverless now. Have you seen the launch of that hybrid new mode where actually you can keep the development, the development lifecycle or the development framework for Lambda, but actually hosting it onto EC2. I think that's going to be a game changer, especially when probably not for the initial setup of your startup, but when you mature and you don't want to disrupt the development lifecycle or how I think your developers are actually building software. But hey, folks, thank you so much for joining. You're so many this episode. I guess you missed us last week from reInvent. And by the way, folks, this is the last but one episode. Next week we're gonna be live again with yet another company, yet another startup that we have already had on the show. I think these last two episodes are going to be all about taking you into memory lane. And on that topic, we have Ned joining us from Glide. Ned has been on the show, I think a couple of years ago, probably in the first season, and we were discussing just about that, how to integrate generative AI into their existing software. So let me bring Ned here with us today, and we can maybe take a stroll in memory lane together. Hey Ned, how's it going?
Hey, hi Chris. Good to see you guys, and good to be back on the show.
Yeah, fantastic to have you. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show again. So I think today I wanted to chat a little bit about the evolution of Glide as a platform. But maybe first, before we get into that, maybe can you give us a quick intro on what Glide is and what is it that you folks have been building? I guess for the last 10 years or something, right? So let us know maybe what the publishing platform is, why it is, what kind of problem is it solving for your customers?
Okay, sure. For those who kind of missed the first episode, Glide builds SaaS products exclusively on AWS. It's geared towards media, entertainment, and sport publishers. We have two main products, which is Glide CMS a headless CMS for editorial teams, and we have Glide Nexa, an audience management platform built for engagement and interaction. We've been building CMSs for more than a decade now, and we're now on a third iteration of the product, working with publishers across the globe, and it's a fun domain to work in. It's challenging on both sides of the product, be it the front end delivery, be it the requirements that editors put on producing the content on a daily basis. So
yeah. I guess content and content management is coming back into I think the front end center of
content is the key, as they say.
Yeah, exactly. But so I have one thing that kind of doesn't let me sleep at night, which is, you're not writing content for human consumption anymore only, but you're also like starting to, create this sort of content pipelines that are feeding into LLMs, or, we're starting seeing, LLM optimization, much like you would do like SEO optimization, so search engine optimization. We've seen that. So I think you have a privileged position in actually witnessing what does it look like to like build content pipeline for enterprise, for large customers at scale. So I'm super excited to have you here today, and maybe you can offer us a lens into how you are actually how you started introducing generative AI back in 2023 into your products.
Yeah. And that is a lot in the AI years. What happened since? We are witnessing the change that's happening even on a weekly basis, really. So, yeah. What we have done since is we have built and made available our own AI service called Gaia, Glide AI Assistant, which is a suite of tools. It's a suite of tools geared towards editors and newsrooms. Some of the four main features that Gaia provides are pre-flight. Actually, let me quickly share the screen. I imagine it's going to be more interesting to follow.
Yeah, and while
diagrams.
Yeah, and while you do that, folks, please, first of all, let me know where you're coming from, what is it that you're building, but most importantly, if you had a favorite reInvent announcement that we should be aware of, just let us know. I'm going to bring up the screen right now, and I'm going to move you up here, so even if I am hidden, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay, I think, of course, I've shared the wrong
No worries. This sort of things always
a live demo, and I thought the static images, it cannot fail, but apparently wrong image. So
no, there's always
so many ways to fail. Yeah.
There's always a ways to upset the demo gods, I guess. But yeah, there you go. Is this the right one?
No.
Okay.
I may have named.
Yeah. No, that's okay. But folks, in the meantime, just let us know what is it that you're building. If you are actually making use of any CMSs, or like how you see the content becoming even more prominent into the era of generative AI. Let me see if this third time's a charm.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. So cool. Take us through Gaia.
Suite of AI tools. On the content features side of things, we have pre-flight, which is the 4 W's of publishing, and also who, when, what, why, but also the H in terms of how. We also have SEO headlines, an LLM-powered headline generation, content summary, which is auto-generate summaries for articles, useful for social sharing, newsletters, metadata, etc. We have tools such as text-to-speech. This one is interestingly enough powered by AWS Poly, so not necessarily based on Bedrock, but still turns articles into audio content, accessibility, plus new content formats from existing work that's powered by flexible templates that we have in place. And these templates enable editors to tailor the reading material. So kind of markup for the produced voice.
And this is an assistant that basically sits alongside with your journalists, the authors, and it helps them.
And it's an additional service, but kind of transparently introduced into the system, so it pops up in the various places of the system depending on the actual requirement. Yeah.
And I think we started working together maybe a couple of years ago now, back in November 2023 or something like that. Actually, on the headline suggestion, right? Because we did some early experiments. So I think it maybe
it was the early days of RAG experimentation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we did also like a kind of a style translation, because I think one of the first things that I was.
Yeah. So the idea around that was to provide enough examples where an LLM can pick up the editorial style and then be able to produce the content in the given style. So be it headlines, intros, or even the full articles. I mean, to vary the success, especially the longer the article. But with Glide in general, we're not trying to replace the editors. We are trying to assist and augment the creativity, to take away most of the mechanical work that happens. So from tagging, setting the different metadata parameters, etc. So leaving editors to focus only on the most creative part of the work, which is producing the content, engaging the audience. If we can help the rest as much as we can, that is the core vision behind all the AI efforts that we are putting into the platform.
Yeah, and I completely agree. And this is the same of when I do it, when I'm actually producing content, even when I'm writing the scripts for this episode, not the scripts, but like the type of topics that we want to talk about, like the whole process of production. There is a lot of mechanical work that is it just kind of takes away from the time that you can dedicate to actually being creative. And we've seen with your CEO as well, I think. Trying to get to that perfect title that is great to engage both with from a perspective of SEO, but also to get the attention of readers is it's something that requires a lot of creativity. And I don't know.
It's like a separate task. Okay,
yeah.
I have a good quality content, but how do I come up with a headline that works across different channels, especially from the SEO perspective? So yeah. And we have built some tools to help with that. Additionally, image generation, celebrity recognition, mostly depending on the domain. The closer domain is to the Hollywood and that world, the better obviously it will work. But we have seen that in practice. Famous football player is not necessarily a celebrity in terms of what recognition finds it to be. On top of all of that, we have guardrails. So every interaction with LLM going from and to Glide, so inbound, outbound, is filtered by guardrails, and this is where Bedrock guardrails come into play. And it's absolutely essential in terms of filtering the content, making sure that content meets the certain criteria that we have defined from the fact checking, profanity filtering, you name it, all the things that you would have to do manually and still not do a great job. It comes right out of the box with the simple enablement of the guardrails within the system.
Yeah, I guess fact checking is such an important topic as well. So, and this is where you're using Bedrock guardrails, right? Chris, can you give a quick maybe overview of what guardrails are, or like shall I jump onto it?
Well, with guardrails, as Ned said, you can put certain rules and parameters around the prompts that are allowed and also the responses that come back from the LLM across a whole variety of different kind of domains. So as Ned mentioned, profanity, fact checking, etc. Most of them are available out of the box, but then you can customize them as well.
Yeah, customize.
I was interested how easy it was to adopt that, and often with these things you get false positives that can end up causing more manual effort to investigate.
That's the whole beauty. Sorry to interrupt. That's the whole beauty of it. You would have to spend significant amount of time on getting that to the point where it's of any use, but then nowhere near to the level that's been already provided by guardrails out of the box. And for us, in fact, there's a blog post available that we can share later on where we dive a bit deeper in terms of how we integrated guardrails into the system. So for everyone interested to learn more about that.
Absolutely. Actually, you know what? I'm going to share it right now on the various platforms we're streaming on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitch at the same time, folks. So I'll be distributing those links in just a few seconds. So, Ned, thank you so much for the overview. And if I look back at a couple of years ago when we actually started your journey with generative AI, it seems to me that there is so much that is going on right now, and so many new features that you have implemented within your platform. So Gaia is
the fear of missing out is real.
No, I get you. I think you were one of the first that were actually exploring. You folks have been a Bedrock launch partner, so that's a badge of honor, I guess, in 2025.
So many things happening in the short period of time. I almost forgot about that one. And
I get you. But
tools get invented, and then new versions pop up every week or two. So just have to keep up with it all the time.
How are you and the team keeping up? Because I noticed a lot of your kind of foundational services were using recognition, poly, ready to go services, but as the great.
Yeah, thanks.
We co-wrote that together, so it's an excellent read, of course.
Chris wrote. Okay.
Have you found it hard to keep up generally with the way generative AI and now agents and now agent systems have been evolving really fast? How do you make sure the team are able to kind of make the right decisions and try stuff out quickly?
Yeah, I think there are two aspects to that. First is we ourselves are consumers of AI, and we as a company went all in on it. So the agent assistance is encouraged across the board. The more the merrier. Obviously, with the old guardrails being manual or automated in, and verification, etc. But yeah, so that's the consumption part. The other is how do we build? How do we enter the AI race? And I guess there's no easy way to do that. You have to stay on top of things, filter out, try out things, do a lot of POCs that don't end up anywhere near production. In fact, most of the stuff that we build and try out is mostly to inform our future decision. Okay, where do we want to spend our time? What do we want to build next? And just keeping up with whatever is happening, with the view not only to make use of the technology, but there's this thing happening right now. How can we use it to answer some of the questions that our customers have and bring the value that they didn't even ask for? So we have to say at the same time, we have to build it and then introduce it and then kind of drive the adoption of the solution that we build.
So I'm interested into the educational piece, right? Because I've worked myself into publishing, so and I know that some innovation in publishing is a topic that is on the top of mind of most of the CEOs and CIOs, and I'm curious to maybe understand a bit better, like, what is your strategy in actually educating your customers about the AI capabilities?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think, again, most of our roadmap is driven by customer requests. So we always look for opportunities to not only address those requests, but if we can use the AI to kind of better it, improve it, take it to the even next level, maybe beyond what's been originally requested. So if it's going down that road, that's an easy one because it already kind of answers itself. The other is the harder part is the innovation. And then with the innovation, it's an open field. You can go, there's so many directions, obviously, you can go into. So, and like I said, the best we can do, we just keep trying out a bunch of things. Some of them work, some of them don't work. Obviously, by also following what's where the whole AI where the whole AI scene is, which direction it's being driven into. So yeah, taking all of that.
Are you finding your customers are actively leading you in the way, and especially in the area of monetizing content? Giuseppe mentioned before that not all the content is written specifically for humans. It might be certainly on search engine optimization now. That's like radically changing.
Or
your own.
Customers are indeed some to a lesser degree are driving the like I said, the roadmap and the product development. And for example, we would have customers who pretty much want us to rebuild the whole, if anyone has interacted with an agent via UI, can I have something like this as part of the system? And that's a perfectly reasonable thing to ask. But at least for me, initially, when I was faced with such question, I didn't know where to start from. So, okay, so there's a UI part of it, but behind it, there's an agent that talks to some server, and every part of the solution that you touch, it's something, it's a rabbit hole. And how far do you go into what? So that's where the prototyping, it's invaluable in this sense. Just build stuff, see what works, what doesn't work. Yeah. And the other part of the equation is, okay, we have built a prototype, we understand the technology, now what? Yeah. And then and this is what we have found by talking to other companies, and obviously from our own experience, most of the POCs, just that's where they stop, from advancing. When you have to take the cost into consideration, the security part of it, the management part of it, this is where most POCs fail.
And can you maybe
us really, but the ones that really make it past that point have something going on.
Can you maybe recap on what you think the killers are for POCs? Like, what is it that prevents POCs from graduating to production?
Use case. That is the number one. If you don't have a use case, you're just building technology for technology's sake. And we have been also guilty of that. I'm not saying all of our POC make it to production, but the use case is the North Star. If it drives all of your, it informs all of your decision. It drives you kind of the direction. If you, like I said, when you start with a new technology, there's so many directions that you can go into. But if you have a use case in mind, then okay, with this part of the system, I only want to go that far. With that part of the system, I may want to go a bit deeper. I may want to zoom out. So yeah, that is the number one, really. But then, okay, let's say you have a clear use case, you have understanding of the technology. There's how well the ecosystem supports what you're trying to build. And the AI, like we know, it's the speed at which things are developing. It's really hard to keep up with. So, take for example the Agent Core service that's been recently introduced. It addresses 95% plus of the needs that we had 4 months ago. And looking at it from this perspective, it was strategically, it was a better decision to wait it out until the end of the year to see if the new service will come up to address all of the concerns that we have, than to start building around it, because you didn't have a native support for example, building, deploying, managing agent MCP service only 6 months ago.
So it was a tricky balance, right?
Not to mention that, your favorite language is probably not supported, And
do we get any prizes for guessing what that is now?
One of my favorite re:Invent announcement was TypeScript support for trans agents.
Yeah.
Yeah, it went kind of under the radar, but quite like that one.
I think it's going to be really popular. In fact, that's based on the fact that about 4 or 5 months ago we were doing an Agent Core workshop, and one of my other customers was he was already a bit ahead of the curve, and he ported the Strands agent over to TypeScript just as an exercise during that. He's been pushing us down the line ever since, so we're really happy that's launched.
Nice. And yeah, in terms of so again, you folks have been ahead of the curve, and you've been also early adopters of the big three, I would say, paradigms that we've seen emerging. So talking about retrieval augmented generation, you mentioned MCP, and actually building agentic workloads. So can you give us maybe an overview of where these three techniques have helped you in the integration of generative AI in Gaia, but maybe even from a wider perspective, in all of the SaaS offerings that you folks have?
We kind of, I agree with you. We got all three bases covered, all three big ones, but we are at the same time we're taking our time to build something meaningful and that provides value. So we're not only there to take off the buzzword effects of it. And I think the key word is for us to build responsible solutions on top of AI. And we also every time we ideate some new solution, the affordability of it is the critical criteria. So we have to take all of that into consideration, not just build the solution for technology's sake. As far as RAG goes, we actually don't have a full-blown true RAG system, like you may call it, but we have taken a phased approach there. We have first built I would call it a semantic search powered system on top of vectors. Another great announcement on re:Invent. S3 vectors. We love S3. It's one of the three serverless trifecta services that we absolutely love in the company, along with Dynamo and Lambda. So S3 vectors, built a solution on top of that. The use case is the ability to scan the archive of the content. Publishers have decades of decades worth of content. Scan it based on the new content that gets produced, match it against most probable taxonomies or tags, and then tag the content automatically. Again, going back to that process of we are trying to help all the mechanical work that happens around publishing a piece and making it available to production go away. And this is one of the wishes in that direction.
Yeah, I remember you guys started with images, right? So you started with images and trying to do automatic tagging, but that's I think that this is where like S3 Vector takes you to a further step, because
Yeah.
now you can apply
and
that full logic.
they land themselves as a for a host of features. Once this is one feature that we have built on top of it, but the same base that we have now created can be used for different sort of things. The next step for us in this direction would be to build a full RAG to involve LLM search in part of the sort of augmented scanning for whatever the prompt was, and then let LLM include the wider knowledge base into forming an answer.
What would be the typical use case? What are the actual end consumers of the content going to be using?
It's one of those things, going back to what we talked about a minute ago. We're now trying to innovate on things that no one actually requested. So there's a vast amount of content. There's a decade's worth of articles, images, etc., stored in our system that are screaming to be surfaced in a way that, however, it's up to your imagination. So can I get so we have currently a system that's based on resolving relationship between the entities. The typical search that you would, what you ask for is what you get, and you have to be quite strict with it. But can I ask an open-ended questions, depending on whatever my domain is? If I don't know, if I'm into horse racing, can you give me all the races that the horse X won on a rainy day? That type of things. So it unlocks the whole semantic way to searching and discovering and validating the content.
And can you imagine new revenue streams from that beyond just extra features for the user? Are you going to open those up as a service for other agents to go and
primarily it's the goal for us is to providing an additional value for existing and new customers, and then that is the ultimate goal.
Oh, that's really interesting. And this at this point, you haven't mixed it up with an LLM yet. So I like, first of all, I like your approach, because it's really human centric. So like you're building around the human and like removing the those kind of like undifferentiated heavy lifting. So like I'm wondering like when you folks are going to introduce the LLM into this, how do you see like the sprinkling of this new capabilities into, let's say, the content development life cycle? Where do you see customers being more keen?
Yeah, so apart from the RAG stuff, we're also building the MCP service. Again, the goal is to make Glide APIs available to the agents, and we are exposing. So Glide has, at a high level, Glide CMS has content authoring and content delivery plane, and there are two sets of APIs that we are now creating an adapter around, which is an MCP, so that the agent can talk to it. We are exposing resources, documentation. We are exposing documentation, guides, etc., as resources, and we're building custom tools as means to access the API resources. The goal is twofold: enable developers to kind of interact with the API and learn, and all the queries that they would typically have for our support team, developers, etc. Now you can have fire up your favorite agent and talk to Glide documentation directly. Transform. You and it's, we have seen that I've just used it today, CloudWatch Assistant to generate a query based on the natural language input. This is exactly what we want to do. Okay, how do I get me the top 10 most prolific authors? That's the query I want, and the agent will generate it for me. That's one part of it. The other part is we also are building the system which allows you to invoke that query as well, so to get the results. So be more, so you can interact with the content from the agentic interface, whatever that may be. Additionally, we're also building our own UI on top of it, as we appreciate that not every user is, keen of using the CLI as magnificent as Kira CLI. So some users will want a simple web UI that they, chat-like interface that they can use to talk to the content. The last part of the big tree is the agentic apps, and I guess we should also mention that this is one of those developments that wasn't even initiated by us. It was initiated by AWS. We have been invited to take part in the 3-day full-day workshop on site in London. That has been super valuable experience, diving deep into different aspects of understanding what an agent is, which is not an easy subject to grasp.
Yeah. We could have a few episodes.
We're all kind of floating there, but what the exact definition is. So understanding the scope, understanding the concerns, and again, we're going back to the same question. It's not all about the POCs, the technology. It's what comes with it, the security, the cost, the observability, management, all of that. So super useful in that sense. We kind of served as an enablement session for us to be able to build agents on our own. And we have taken it further from there. We have had some great help. So I apologize, I keep report on how that worked as I think about the process. So the first week was on site, and then we spent 2 weeks working remotely with the prototype team.
I can see Romi's on the call here.
Hi, Romy. Yeah. So Romy was the prototype architect, solution architect that worked with us to get from the idea that we initially had to presentable, demoable prototype. And I think, in my humble opinion, we have met the initial goals that we set for ourselves. And now the challenge for us is to make it past that last hurdle of solving the security, not necessarily security in terms of the technical challenges, but in terms of the content, access to the content and the content, intellectual property, etc., and also the cost. We have to, like I said, hi Romy, we have to keep the affordability of the solution in mind. We have, in the past, built amazingly performant solutions that, people didn't want to buy, but they didn't make the cut. So we have to. That's one of the most important things to solve. That is the challenge that we are trying to address now. In technical terms, it was an agent core based. Agent core is at runtime. At the time, because Python was only supported for strands, we've used Python, although not traditionally a Python shop, so that was a challenge. And so again, with Kiro, that hurdle is kind of
question there. Like, did Did you write your code in TypeScript and then ask Kira to rewrite it in TypeScript, or how did you weather that? Because
We just
I think it's an interesting.
prompted the hell out of it. With,
Okay, gotcha.
but have to be honest with it. But yeah, the languages, at least the paradigms are similar, so it kind of translates it. It's not yeah. But it just feels more natural in what we use day to day.
And how are you adapting to prompt-based engineering generally across the team? Is everybody loving it? Are there?
Yeah, that's that's a tricky sub. I guess, like I said, we as a company went all in on the adoption of AI-assisted coding, and I imagine on an individual level, some people would be more into it, some would be less into it. But I really like that saying of AI will not take your job, but the person using AI or something along those lines will. So you have to keep up, even if you're not that interested in it. And that's on the one side of the spectrum. But on the other side of the spectrum, it is an incredible force multiplier. I guess I'm only with the passage of time, we'll see if we have lost something along the way, because we're only now using all the knowledge that we absorbed along over the years to engineer those prompts. Whether the how they call it now, skill atrophy is real or not, I guess it takes some time to kind of gauge where all of that is heading. But it's happening. We have to react to it. And I personally, it's like I've never been without the tool at my disposal. So
yeah. Well, some skills will atrophy, and you're having to learn new ones, right? Like you mentioned, cost or at least cost efficiency being a barrier for introducing some of these POCs into production and stuff. Have you learned anything yet? It's an area that we're developing fast in. What have you learned in terms of cost?
So as part of the POC, we had, because debugging reasons, we had a bunch of agents running at a really low frequency. So generate a bunch of articles every minute or so. We left it running over weekend, and lo and behold, there was $1,000+ bill, for that. That may not be, too much in general terms, but it kind of left us cautious that given similar scenarios in production, and I'm sure they will be, because if you enable people to, configure a bunch of webhooks, agent invocation, why not? Why not use it? It's a nice, neat feature to use. There will be a scenario where you can wake up and see that the cost has gone through the roof.
Oh no!
Obviously, there are mechanisms to kind of monitor and an alert and all of that, but we don't necessarily want it to come to that point where we are learning about the cost via alarms. We want it to kind of design into the system. So,
it's kind of like security, right? You need to think about it up front.
You don't want to, the other things I wanted to mention in the bootcamp and the enablement part, it's like there's this thing, agents, and everyone talk about agents and you read about agents, it all makes sense, but it kind of doesn't make sense. And the trick is you have to start building things in order to understand things. And then when you start building things, for us, the biggest, at an architectural level, the biggest learnings were tool design. How well you design the tool, if you have big tool, you will get big results. And we kind of rediscovered the whole good established practices of software development. Have clearly defined tools, interfaces, and the descriptions that goes along with it, so that you can help an LLM, which parses your prompt, to map parts of the prompt to a corresponding tool and be accurate with it. And that was the big it sounds simple to describe and kind of sound reasonable, but that was a big relearning moment for us as a team. Yeah.
Yeah. And the use case was around content creation, right? Were you finding the prompt was getting really big? Did you do anything in terms of caching or compaction of the prompt as the agent was continuing?
Well, it wasn't the size of the prompt. It was that we narrowed it down so it was perfectly executing the prompt that we gave it, but it wasn't that good with any variation of the prompt.
Yeah.
So we kind of realized, okay, there's too much knowledge being injected in some part of the system that is kind of over optimizing for this one access pattern, and we wanted to have these tools a bit more vertical than they were, so to speak, and also a bit more flexible in that sense. Again,
Ned, Chris, sorry to interrupt you. I managed to recruit Romy from the audience, so he's joining us now.
Okay.
Hey. Hello, Romy. Thank you so much for joining.
That was
yeah, this is great for folks. I'm Romy Patel, part of the PACE team from AWS. This is crazy. I was just
There's no lurking on Let's Build a Startup.
Yeah.
You put your head above the parapet. You're on air.
Romy, I hope you agree with everything or most of what I said.
I mean, you said only like great things about them, so
okay.
I wouldn't know.
I'm super. No, I definitely agree. I definitely agree about your definitions about prototypes and how to think of the use cases when you're doing them. And I really resonated with where they are stuck, like how to get them along. So some good definitions there.
Okay, yeah. Learned the hard way, I would say, but yeah, it was also fun.
Yeah, I think getting your hands dirty is the quickest way to understand this, and it's actually the way I learn most of the time when I have the time.
We're all flooded with a bunch of announcements on various social media channels, and I just keep sending myself emails of all different sources that I get, and then I come to the work in the morning and there's 20 articles that I need to read, and I only read 2, and then they just keep accumulating, increasing the anxiety level of missing some of the stuff.
If only there was technology that could summarize some of that for you.
Yeah. But the beauty of it, if you pick one of those things and you try it out and you build on top of it, I mean, obviously it does require time and effort, but yeah, I'm not saying anything new. It just kind of confirms what we all knew. All
Yeah, and Romy, just a quick question for you. So, what kind of production killer have you seen on all of these prototypes? So like there will be a lot of prototypes that that are really exciting. The use case is there, but then they fail to get to production. And do you have any?
Feel free to mention us if you.
No. No. That's a great question. I think one of them that I'm seeing that a lot more now is that the technology is predefined. So like the team has already sort of decided that this is the technology that we'll leverage regardless of the use case. So now we are working backwards from the choices that are predefined. So I tend to see that as then we are trying to sort of fit in that, hey, let's use a given service that we have selected. So I see that a lot. So maybe that, and then obviously not tying in the business value of what we are actually building, like the prototype we are building. Having a great business sponsorship goes a long way. Having that business champion saying, hey, this is a workload that's going to solve, is either going to increase productivity, is going to increase revenue if that's a revenue attached opportunity, or it's going to increase the productivity of my staff. They can do X amount more. having that sponsorship and clear vision from that business sponsor is highly critical. If you have that, everything else can follow.
Yeah, I think it's easier on startups because it might be, the spectrum is three folks on their laptop in a room, and but maybe like even 50 to 60 people, but still there is that chain of communication that is really short. I guess that getting POCs in production for larger enterprise customers, or that might be a bit more difficult, but yeah, that's cool. I think the question
Okay,
is like,
cover that
have you-
off with the let's build an enterprise.
yeah, no, I can. I don't think I'll be able to do that. I mean, you have to go through the startup before you get to enterprise level, I guess. So like one step at a time, I guess. But yeah, no, and Robbie, maybe a question from your perspective. I think you work with different kind of customers. So anything that you've learned from startups that could be applied to larger customers and the other way around, when they're thinking about like, okay, we're gonna build a prototype and we're gonna take this to production?
At the speed that the innovation happens from a startup, I love that. The quick decisions, usually we don't tend to see that from our other customers because for rightful reasons or policies. So startups, they tend to take a lot more quicker decisions, which I love. So for example, Nadeem was mentioning about not having TypeScript support for strands. We took a decision on a call that, hey, let's just go with Python. We will learn strands, and at later point when the support is added, we will make a pivot. Like that decision was made within less than 10 minutes, I think, on a call, which I loved. From an enterprise perspective, I think the scale at what they think of. So I've worked on use cases which has some tremendous business values, like from improving team productivity at an org level. So those I would say from enterprise. But yeah, I love the quick decision making that startup provides.
Okay. I get you. And again, bias for action for you joining onto this stream. Sorry, I didn't write to you first in the first place. And I guess we're getting closer to the end of today's episode. So the last question I had for you, Ned, it's actually in a few years I will invite you to come back to this show, and I would really like to know more about what was next for Glide. What is it that you're building right now? What can we expect in a year from now or in 2 years from now to come on this show and tell us about?
Yeah, I wish I had an exciting answer to that, but I guess it will be doing more of what we're currently doing. So wider integration of LLMs, building more tools on top of NCP, obviously taking into consideration, tool saturation. And I'm not sure if you following along, but there's a certain group of people now complaining about the token consumption and ingesting all the tools at once. So yeah, there's that cost and security. Again, that never stops. Security hardening, cost optimization. Yeah.
You've applied Gen AI to product, and you've been using it to speed up your innovation and POCs. Do you see that playing a bigger role in your DevOps as well, and actually monitoring? Because I remember one of the first things we got to do.
Absolutely. I think the AI and agents are a gift to the DevOps community because it fits so naturally, and DevOps is geared towards heavily technology-oriented solutions, and agents and the documentation around it and MCPs well covered that part. So it's much harder to have an agent dive into the years-old Angular code base than into Terraform scripts and reason about it or do meaningful changes, etc. So DevOps, a no-brainer. but also in general, I think, like I said, everyone is on board. And I read it the other way, and I like the phrase of it. It's with the agents. It's not. I apologize. I don't know who he's behind the quote. But agents, it's not about whether you can do something or implement a solution. It's whether you should, whether it's worth maintaining, and that's the big thing now. So we can all now do pretty much anything we ever wanted to, but should we? And who's going to maintain it? And who's going to understand what's going on? And it's another moving piece. Just because you had a day off and came up with this beautiful idea, great, dopamine rush and all that, great. But now it has to be maintaining it. That's already overloaded with other bunch of things that need maintaining and need some love. So yeah, there will be again a balance of how
Can we and should we, I guess. All
Yeah.
right, and on that fantastic nugget of wisdom, I wanted to close with a strong call to action. So folks, if you want to learn a bit more about Glide, just reach out to sales@gpp.io. That will get you in touch with Ned and the rest of the team at Glide. But folks, thank you so much for joining, Chris, Ned, and Rami. Well, that was Rami. Sorry, that was great to have you on such a short notice. I've never done that before. But yeah. So this has been Let's Build a Startup. Giuseppe Battista being your host, and next week we will be live with Value, yet another stroll on the memory lane. With our friends that are building agentic search APIs. So this is search natively built for agents. So that's going to be a very interesting episode. And sadly, the last episode of AWS Let's Build a Startup for this season. And hopefully I'll see you next week, 2 p.m. EST. No, sorry, GMT actually. I think it's 9 a.m. EST and 6 a.m. PST. Folks, it's been a pleasure to have you on. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ned. Thanks, folks.
Opportunity. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.